We were talking to Robert yesterday, and he was saying how it was kind of cool to see Zach go from the fourth quarter against the Steelers, where he had to put the team in his back, and then this past week against the Dolphins kind of play more of a game manager role as Breece went crazy. How difficult is that for a quarterback to do that kind of maturity to learn where you don't necessarily have to do everything yourself all the time? Or be willing to take a step back?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's totally invested in doing what's best for the Jets, each and every play and each and every week, and that's not different from last year in terms of his mindset. He's just he's more comfortable. He's more comfortable with the league and the speed of it. He's more comfortable with the offense. He's more comfortable with his teammates. He went in that same mindset in the fourth quarter of the Steelers. I don't think he put anyone on his back. I think he executed and threw to the open receivers, and the receivers did a tremendous job of getting their separation in the line, and particularly in that fourth quarter versus the Steelers, protected as well as they probably did all game. And so I thought he just went out and played good quarterback in that fourth quarter, and I thought it carried over for the most part. This last game, he did a lot of good things. Still a lot of as an offense, we left a lot out there on the field, in my opinion. But ultimately, the guys executed well enough to get a W.
What's it been like in the LaFleur family this week leading up to the game?
I talk to my brother the most out of anyone outside of my wife, and obviously my kids, as they're 7 and 5, so they don't have phones yet. But as I FaceTime, it goes straight to them, and then I talk to Matt quite a bit. I don't really talk to my folks until about Friday, for obvious reasons. So I wouldn't really know. I'm sure that they're dealing with everything. I'm sure my wife's dealing with some stuff because I know she's traveling out there. But I'm just focused on going against this defense and putting our guys in a good position. I truly mean that.
Matt was saying that he's staying away from the house because of all the people coming by and all of that. Just kind of focus on the task at hand. Do you know how many people are coming to the game?
I don't. I mean, we don't have a huge family, but got a decent-sized family, the aunts and uncles and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know exactly. I just, there's quite a few, and again, I know he's focused. The only difference is we're just, unfortunately not talking as much this week. A lot of times we're not even talking about football. Usually on Mondays we do, as he critiques, my play calling, or that you should have done this more. You should, and it's all constructive criticism. And that's, he's just trying to help, and it's, and I appreciate that. And that's what kind of stuck about Monday is we didn't do that. So I would have liked to known what I could have done much better, in his opinion, from Sunday. I probably would have countered with something. We didn't get to do that, but we'll definitely be able to get to do that Monday, and every week after that.
Mike, is there a part of you, I mean, I know you're obviously dialed into the game and stuff like that, but can you step back and relish this kind of thing and how unique it is, or will you maybe after?
No, I mean, I truly, it's you're so focused on just your players and attacking this defense, and until I obviously I knew this was going to happen in terms of the questions and stuff like that, and I respect that. But my mindset is just solely on these players, putting Zach and the rest of the offense in a position to go out and get the results that they want. Do we maybe talk about it sometimes in the off season? Sure. Does my mom not like this game? Sure. But this is the 6th time we've played against each other. Obviously now the 3rd different venue with it. But we're kind of used to this, and it's. I'm focused on our offense versus their defense.
Is it any different, though, because you're in a different position now? I mean, the other times you might have been passing game coordinator, whatever, but now this is your offense against your brother.
No, honestly, maybe it is, but maybe my family feels different. But for me, it's, again, I'll see him Sunday, which is cool because during the season we spend a lot of time with each other in the summer. We try to see as much as we can from February to June before we do break for the summer. We probably spend too much time together in the summer, if you ask our wives. But then once we go back to work, unless we get joint practices, we don't get to see each other. And so that's the difference. We get to say hi and, dap it up real quick Sunday, and, that's that.
Have you had to be more guarded in recent weeks and recent months, just in your normal conversations about personnel and X's and O's?
Not.
That you're gonna...
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because I do. I'm guessing it was in the back of both our minds as this was getting a little bit closer. But you're so focused on the week at hand that you're not really concerned about what's about to lie ahead in week 6 or whatever week we're already in. So, I think we probably held maybe something back, but I don't know.
When you got the Green Bay job, or when Matt got the Green Bay job, you stayed in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there was probably an opportunity to go work with Matt. Why did you choose to go to San Francisco? I mean, why didn't you follow him to Green Bay? What was the reasoning or thought process?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I'd somewhat, I guess, had an opportunity. There was a discussion between us, but at the same time, I had a awesome job in San Francisco. We were 2 years in. I won 6 games the first year, won 4 the second, and we felt like we were getting close. And that third year, a lot of things fell our way and ended up getting to the Super Bowl, which was really cool. But for our guys, but there was a lot of unfinished stuff that needed to get done in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan is the one that gave me the opportunity in Cleveland in 2014. I was in the receiver rooms that first 2 years in San Francisco. He was moving me over into the quarterback room to work directly more with him, and it was the greatest 2 years I could have as a coach, to be just right next to him every single day, going through the plans and the amount of responsibility he put on myself and Mike McDaniel with the run game. So, was there an opportunity? Whatever, it didn't matter. I just know that it all worked out for the best for everybody. I think it was perfect for him and the staff he hired, and it was, I guess, selfishly for me, I was very, very happy in San Francisco those 2 years.
You probably didn't think about it at the time, but when you were a teenager and you used to come home and you'd see Robert and Matt in your house, how crazy is it now that you guys are all where you are?
Yeah, that's a good one, because that bothered me, because they would always be over, and because they didn't have cable and they were a mile down the street, and so they were going to, take the TV over or whatnot. They were just going to be around, and especially in the summer, I'll go even deeper, when they would be, getting their little suntan in before they went into the adult area of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, wherever that might be. So, no, it was. I don't know. You didn't know. I was just in high school, and it's wild that I've known him that long. And I was dating my wife now, Lauren, back in high school too. So Lauren has known Sal as long as I have. So it's just a cool friendship that they have, a cool bond. It's not uncommon in terms of, the guys that you GA with, that you're in that, sharing that office with, and doing that GA work, that quality control work. A lot of times those guys do become your best friends for obvious reasons. You're there first. You're leaving last, you're shoveling driveways, you're doing a lot of different things, right? That you just kind of, comes with the territory. So, you could kind of tell they were going to be very close early on, and obviously it's held true, and they got a good friendship.
Mike Roberts, since last week, even going against Mike in Miami, and this week, has talked about the fact that he does not like going against his friends. What is that? How is it uncomfortable for you? Is this week a little bit awkward and uncomfortable because it's even more ratcheted up? It's not just a friend, it's your brother.
No, again, it's just because of the focus of our guys, and trying to get this offense to go against their very, very talented defense in Lambeau Field. So again, that is not crossing my mind at all.
Breece Hall, just talk about the way he's played and how he's put together so quickly in the league.
Yeah, he's. I think one of the first, it's kind of hard to explain, and I could tell, because I get caught with my words when the first 2 times I got asked about him, and about how his speed and size just kind of sneaks up on you. And I think, again, whether I'm explaining that well or enough, that's just kind of what I see when he's out there. Like, you just think you have an angle on him, then he goes, and then he's got this just massive body, with that speed. And I think the thing that goes maybe unnoticed, just because it's only 5 games in and he hasn't had a ton of time with you guys or whatnot. He just hasn't been in this league. Is just how smart he is as a football player. He just gets it. He sees it. You could see that at Iowa State. You could see that in the draft process. Joe and those guys did just an absolute awesome job, recognizing that and all the talks they had with him. But as we've had him, you could feel it. You could see it. And every week he's getting better and better. And the cool part about him is he knows there's a lot more out there for him. There's a lot of improvement in every area, not just the running back room, but starting with me and everyone else. And it's cool because he's humble enough to understand that.
Is there anybody he reminds you of?
I've said Matt Forte, but I don't, just in terms of the body size and stuff like that, don't hold me to the exact numbers and all that. But, it's the way that what I remember from Matt, I never coached him. I've really never, but what I remember from him, he just was a versatile back that could kind of get it done in all facets. So not comparing him to Matt Forte in terms of what he's about to become or what he can become, but just in terms of the body size and how he's being used, I see a similar skill set.
When you're in your position, and I know you're focused on your offense and everything else, do you ever look at the quarterback on the other team, and does that change how you might call a game because you don't want to put the ball in his hands right away? Things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know when Aaron.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a discussion between Sal and myself, Olbrich. It just kind of organically happens throughout the week. As I'm not studying their offense. Obviously, Brick's not studying their defense, but our offices are right next to each other. So when you get 3 minutes just to kind of put your feet up real quick, usually it's him or I just going to each other's office, and Sal is just swinging back and forth. So you just talk about those things, and obviously not going to get into all that right now, but for sure, as you're building this thing, you're scratch and claw and finding ways to win any way possible, and we're going to continue to try to do that. But then there's also the winning the right way in playing complementary football. So that's something that I feel like they've done so well, and now going into their fourth year, they've just found ways to play complementary football. They don't turn the ball over much, just historically. And it starts with Aaron, but also I think it's just a philosophy within that building. They play for each other. They play hard. You can see it, and it's something that we're trying to emulate.
I know you say it's a copycat league. When you see some other teams, last year you ran the pass to Mike, you caught it for the 2-point, then Zach had the touchdown as well, like a little special play there by the goal line. Giants ran it this past week, and I think the Bengals did as well. When you see plays that you run starting to be replicated and mimicked by other teams, is that kind of a good feeling for you? Does it make any note of it?
No, it's again when we're doing all those things, we're doing this as a staff. There's a lot of guys. I'll point out Matt Cavanaugh last year. He came up with the one in Indianapolis. He did an awesome job of. They ran it in 2017, so we copied it from 4 years ago. And a lot of times when those plays are being ran, they get shown in a team meeting just to be kind of prepared. And sometimes it's just covering your bases a little bit, but these defensive players are very smart. There's a reason they're in this league. So you got to be kind of selective with it too, and you got to be selective, with what you're doing against what opponent, So what we're doing, we're copying stuff too. We're just trying to fit it to our players, and make it come to life. And to our guys' credit, they figured out ways to execute it.
Mike, when you plug Nate in on the line with all the injuries mounting, could you have imagined from what you'd seen of him in training camp and whatnot and leading up to that it would be as seamless as it's been for him?
Yeah, this dude is all ball. He just loves football, And when Joe and the staff brought him in, you could sense it right away. He's a quieter guy, so I guess for me, not being in the offensive line room, on a daily basis, really getting my time with them in a few unit meetings. And then obviously in the stretch line, I always try to make it a point to go see those guys first for obvious reasons. But again, you guys are seeing what he's doing on the field. But again, he just loves ball. Excuse me. So it's not surprising at all. I'm not going to sit up here and say he stinks or something like that in his jersey. He's a grinded out kind of offensive lineman, and you can never ever have enough of those guys at any position, but particularly the offensive line.
Could you tell that line was a little fired up after the amount you guys ran it against Miami?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think receivers in general want to throw it 60 times, but they, would like the ball in the air. Offensive linemen would love to run it 60 times. Like there's a balance, and each and every week's going to be a little bit different. And this week we were obviously heavier in the run game, and did we hit our head against the wall a few times early on? Yeah, we did. But there's just by the fourth quarter, the guys were getting what they wanted, and they were getting the creases that they wanted. It just was cool across the board when you think of Dwayne Brown coming back. We spoke about what ABT did in the selfless act for just this team and this organization and this fan base to do what he did versus Pittsburgh, and then he goes off and does it again to move over to right tackle without blinking an eye and playing at just an incredible level. And then you have Dwayne coming back, who has played in this league since 2008, I believe. his story is written if he wanted it to be. Every building he's gone into, he's been respected, and we brought him in, and it was a great addition by Joe and his staff, and he gets the injury, and he easily could have walked out of here, and no one would have batted an eye in terms of the respect you have for him, because whether you knew him as a person or not, you respected the player because of what he's done, and for him to say, you know what, I'm not going out like this. That's the exact words he used. I'm not going out like this. He could have walked away. It was fully guaranteed, and he wasn't leaving. And I had respect for him. I've gotten to know him over the last 5-6 weeks, and the way I feel about him, he is the ultimate professional. He'll do whatever it takes. He does not care. He was not walking out without playing this game. AVT at the same token. So many guys on this offense, but those are the two right now that just stick out in terms of the selfless acts. And again, I think credit to Sal and Joe and everyone bringing those guys in, and as long as we continue to have guys that are buying into that. I know I'm kind of going on a rant, but I saw a stat yesterday of we got 4 guys with over 200 yards receiving. We have a 5th, I was told, that has 192 with Conklin, and the only team in the league that has that. That takes selflessness. It's just guys just doing their job, not worrying about who's getting the ball. Yes, everyone wants the ball, but for guys to just do whatever it's going to take to win, whether they're touching the ball or whether they're not, that's stuff that fires me up. That's why I'm not really thinking about going against Matt and the Packers. I'm just worried about our guys and still creating that culture that we're trying to get done here.